All right, thank you for coming to section two of the day one or one day class. And let's go back a little bit. We just talked about the poverty rate in LA County, and that, as Dr. Brene Brown said, that poverty is trauma. So half of our kids are coming to school with trauma just from poverty alone, not to mention all the other types of trauma that there are. All right. So we pretend that it's not an issue. And what did she say that trauma produces? A feeling of closed offedness, like I'm gonna armor up my heart, and when I armor up my heart, I don't trust, and then I'm not gonna learn. I cannot be creative. And we're not helping kids through this. And it's manifesting itself every day throughout our country as students turn into adults. And that's, I mean, look at anything. Opioid stuff. That's a reflection on us as the public education system. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And I don't mean it like crazy like that. I'm just saying we didn't even try. We really didn't try. So let's here we go. This is what I'm asking us to do. All right. Let's be urgent. Day one. We cannot wait. It really is life and death for our kids, right? And we need to train our staff. We need to train our coaches. We need to train our parents. We're going to get to that. Just have easy to use materials that students have on their media devices. It's super simple. There's PDF stuff that exists. There's all sorts of stuff, right, that they have 24/7 that they can use that's going to help them with their mental wellness situation, right? But it has to be at the school also, in each class every day, at all levels, pre-K through grade 12. We need to have parent workshops. And I know the word mandatory is weird, but we need to get every parent in there. And the parent workshops are super beneficial for them because we're teaching them mental wellness skills too. And now they're on board because they have the same materials on their phone or their computer or whatever. All right. We have to have leadership groups. I call them how to mess up the system leadership groups. All those systems that I told you in the first section that are, have been in place for many, 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 many decades in this country, we're going to mess those systems up because my belief and many others' belief is that they're just fine with keeping things status quo. So we're going to mess it up and have 100% of students being mentally well, emotionally stable. We need to have PTSD assessments for every kid in the United States and easy to get to and effective mental wellness services at the schools. We need to have, so so the first 3 weeks of school, you do all this stuff. Get the parents in, train the staff, obviously. Everyone has these materials, everyone knows how to use them. And day one in class, when things are trying to settle down in schools all across the country, we're hitting kids, and I mean that lovingly, with all these skills and strategies and exercises. Okay? And now they're part of our daily life at school. Now we're getting it. Oh my God, they care. Oh wow, I'm starting to open up a little bit. Now I'm 3 weeks into school. Now we need to do a massive kid by kid academic skill needs assessment. All right, so we're doing the PTSD, we're doing mental wellness assessments during those first 3 weeks. Then we're doing academic skills needs assessment. And then once we know what their academic needs are, we have a massive mentoring and tutoring effort. Why? Because now they'll accept the tutoring. Now they'll accept it because they start to see a correlation between working hard and the rest of their life. And then there needs to be an incentive reward award program. Grades are cool and that, and yes, we want it to be intrinsic, but come on. Let's really figure out what they're excited about and then reward them for making that effort. That's what I'm saying. All right. Now, here, I don't know if this is controversial or not. I really don't, I mean, I care, but I don't really care. And this needs to be a must. There's a saying that I've heard and that I used, and it says, stop shooting all over yourself. Shoulding, shooting. So I think you should say it out loud with me. Stop shooting all over yourself. And we need to turn our shoulds into a must. All these things have been shoulds forever, and now they have to be musts. And this right here is something that is super, super important. School-wide and district-wide goals of 100% of student athletes and sports-interested students in middle and high school be academically and character eligible and ready for four-year universities. Why? Here's the rationale. Right or wrong, student athletes are perceived as, and in many cases actually are, leaders. When we create the culture of academic and character leaders on campuses, the energy of the campuses change. Right now, they're not. They're held to the 2.0 stuff. And then hopefully some of them want a scholarship and then they'll go for the 3.0 or higher. No, that's because all these things are related. All the stuff that I've been leading up to this point, they need to be for student athletes, obviously, too. But we need to push to them. Why? Once again, they're leaders. And when school kids see that even the athletes, or especially the athletes, are being held to that high standard that we're trying to hold everybody else to, then they'll want to also. Because what's a perception? That athletes get away with stuff. I'm not saying it's true, I promise you. I'm just saying that's the perception. All right? Now, obviously, at the bottom, all students are included in this push. It's not neglecting nobody or leaving anybody out. Well, I'm just saying that at this point, we don't even close to push student athletes like this. As long as they're doing well in the sports, that's the main thrust, right? And the goals of character and knowledge are like paramount, super, super like top of the list. That achievement gap will go really quick. That it's the so-called achievement gap, right? Because kids can do it. We just need to shift their priorities, and we do that through emotional engagement. Here we go. Here's Jim Quick again.
I did a talk in Silicon Valley, and afterwards, Bill Gates comes up to me, and I asked him what superpower he can read one, and he's like, the ability to read faster. And I was like, oh, I can totally help with that. And I believe in reading, and I know you're an avid reader, and we share that commonality. Leaders are readers. But we're talking about the future education, and I was taking the approach from adult learning theory and brain science, and he was approaching it from more technology and scale. And somebody who was listening asked the question, saying, is there anything missing? What's missing happens in theory and technology. And we were talking about it. We came to the conclusion is understanding human motivation. Because motive matters, right? And what drives us. I always tell people that there's a success formula. I subscribe to it. I call it H cubed. That it goes from your head to your heart to your hands. Especially in the personal development space, or what they teach about goal setting, you could affirm things in your head, or think things in your head, or visualize things in your head. But if you're not acting with your hands, there's something that's missing, right? There's an incongruency there. And what I tell people is check in with the second H, which is your heart, which is the symbol of emotion, the energy of motion. And so I feel like that's the fuel that fuels the car, that gets you to take action for something. And I do believe what got me through it is figuring out what my why was, right? I don't want people to suffer the way I did. If I could do anything about it, for me, it's like no brain left behind, right? Because I live with that identity for so long. And my message to people, whether it's on stage or on the podcast or anything, is that we are more than what we're demonstrating, that we've been sold this lie, that people are taught through school. Like when I do these demos and I on stage memorize 100 names and words and numbers forwards and backwards, and it appears effortlessly. I always tell people, I don't do this to impress you. I do this to express to you what's really possible, because the truth is everyone can do this too, and so much more. Apply towards creativity and focus and flow and problem solving and thinking and really overcoming the biggest challenges of their life, and maybe even the world. The challenge is we were taught a lie. We were taught a lie that somehow our intelligence, our potential, our learning, our memory somehow is fixed, our creativity is fixed, our thinking is fixed, like our shoe size. And what we've discovered, as you know, agreement about brain science. In the past 2 decades, we've discovered more than the previous 2,000 years. And what we know is that we're grossly underestimating its capacity, our own capacity to be able to grow, to be able to contribute, to improve our intelligence and our influence and our impact. And I want to kind of pull the veil behind and just say, hey, this is about transcending. This is about ending the trance that we're not good enough, that we're not smart enough, that we're not this genius, and telling the truth. And the truth is, we're faster and we're smarter than we think. And not just to be able to memorize things, but be able to really solve significant challenges. And maybe that these challenges that we're going through are the lessons that we need to learn the most. And then some people who learn those lessons feel compelled to be able to share that voice with other people. So it's not just one candle. We just can set things ablaze.
So what are some of the key problems that you personally want to solve that you think we face as a society? Like, what are those major movements for you?
So a lot of these conversations you and we've had with our mutual friend Peter Diamandis over at X Prize. I was at the very early stages of their education literacy prize when they first launched it, and so I think for me, my platform is education, and I feel like that growing up, if anyone who's watching this feels like they're overloaded, overwhelmed, and they can't keep up, I always tell people that I don't think it's completely their fault. It's just we all grew up with a 20th century education that prepared us for a 20th century world, which at the turn of the century was working in factories and farms and assembly line. And our education system was mirrored to that. It was assembly line, one size fits all, cookie cutter approach towards education, teaching us things about what to learn, math, history, science, Spanish, but all things we could find online nowadays, right? So what do you need to be able to regurgitate that information for? But it was about what to learn, but not how to learn. And how to think for yourself, how to solve problems, how to be creative, all the things that you can't outsource to like automated or technology, or you can't outsource to Asia. Our value in this world is really our creativity, right? Because that's not something that's easily outsourced. Our ability to create value, be creators, take our vision and turn them into reality, take the invisible and make it visible. But where are the classes on that, right? On how to be able to live your best version of yourself. That's why I love this and the conversations that we have and the conversations that you're bringing out to the world. Because nowadays, we live in this. See, here's the thing. I get to work. You mentioned with SpaceX and Elon and such, and we're rocket scientists and all these. Think about that. We're living in a world of autonomous electric cars and spaceships that are going to Mars. But our vehicle choice when it comes to learning, it's like we're choosing like a horse and buggy, right? That's our choice, and that we wonder why. Wow, this is taking so long. This is so hard. This is so difficult. But it's not our fault. We just weren't prepared for this world that we're living in right now. They say that if Rip Van Winkle, the gentleman who slept for decades of slumber, right? If he woke up today, the only thing he would recognize is our schools. And that's not a slight against teachers. Like my mother's a school teacher, and my aunt is a college professor. I love those individuals because they're some of the most hardworking individuals that I know, and I get to train a lot of them. But it's a systemic issue, just like many challenges. It doesn't grow and it hasn't evolved as much as the rest of the world has. But
there we go. That's what I'm saying too. He's saying, and many, many, many others, including teachers in the classroom. So we refuse to teach skills in preschool through grade 12. That's 51 million students in the public education system in the United States. All right? But we refuse to teach the skills that would drastically reduce these statistics. And these are mostly grown statistics, right? That started, as you see with the little star and the arrow at the bottom, the initial onset of mental health conditions typically start, in this research, 13. The other research I had was 14. All right? And then we don't even teach the skills over on the right, just simple how to manage anxiety. We don't even teach that stuff. They might get it in an assembly or maybe a one-off lesson or whatever. But in terms of daily self-development, we don't do that. All right? Yet here we are, we know with foreign language, if I don't practice it every day, I lose it. Math concepts, if I don't use it every day, I lose it. And teachers fight for that, right? Because it's true. But it's the same for our mental wealth. I called it mental wealth. Mental wellness and mental health, mental wealth. Our life skills. we don't practice those every day, they get weak. And the kids have so much stuff going on coming to school and even at school. It's they don't have like any ground to stand on. There's nothing to support them.